So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another video of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're going to do something different. It's mid-year, and that means we've had a shit ton of music that's already come out. So everyone's doing their videos of their favorites so far. So I'm going to do something very similar. It's going to be the favorite like 10 albums or EPs that I've listened to the most in this year, in no order in particular. And of course, these can all change at the end of the year because at the end of the year, we got still new music coming out. But for now, these are the ones that I've enjoyed the most. So I'm starting with one that I actually bought on vinyl, and it's the latest Metallica album, 72 Seasons. And you know what? A lot of people, this album got mixed reviews. Like some people love it, some people hate it. And it's Metallica. It's always going to get shit upon. It doesn't matter what they do. But I actually thought this was a great return to form. It's the album that I enjoyed the most since I think Death Magnetic, and that's been a long time. And you know what? I still don't love the cover. It's too much yellow and black. But yeah, it's different. And my favorite tracks are still. I love Lux Eterna. I think Lux Eterna works great. I love Inamorata that finishes the album. I think Shadows Follow is a great track as well. And I've actually enjoyed them all now. And I think it's an album that, yeah, it's a little bit too long. Metallica can do some trimming, but I think this album has more high points than low points. That's why I'm a fan of this album, and that's why it's on this list. So yeah, moving along. The next album, I don't own it on vinyl, but I could buy it because it's really good. So I'm talking about Life is But a Dream by Avenged Sevenfold, and we're looking at my Spotify. And yeah, this is an album that I still think nobody was a strange selection to use as a single. But the album really, I thought I wasn't going to like this album as much as I did, but this is their most progressive, weird album yet. And I think they've fully embraced it. It's almost like a Frank Zappa like in some of the later tracks, especially when you look at the later tracks where you go with the Ordinary, Death. That's where they get more experimental and weirder, even invoking some Frank Sinatra in those tunes. And, I think it's a really interesting album. And that's why I believe that it's really won me over. And I'm a fan of this record. And it's an album that I would really would buy if I get the chance. The next band that I'm going to talk about, and it's on my list, and they put out an album, it's Haken. And Haken put out an album earlier this year that I really, this is a progressive band that are improving, and their album is called Fauna. And I just love that cover with the monkey in the suit. And this is an album that I reviewed when it first came out. It came out like at the beginning of the year. So this is truly what Haken do is they take prog, rock, and metal. They give it like an 80s feel. And I really think that Ross Jennings as a vocalist is great. My favorite track here is still Elephants Never Forget. It's just an amazing track at 11 minutes. But you know what? Even though it's 11 minutes, you never get fucking bored with that track. And you've got The Alphabet of Me, which is great. Nightingale, Taurus, which opens the album on a very strong note. So yeah, I'm telling you, Haken, it's such an amazing band, and they're doing such great things that I don't think anyone should sleep on that band because it's just great music. So moving along, instead of progressive, we're going with a band that it's more like danceable and alternative, and it's of course Depeche Mode. And Depeche Mode put out an album earlier this year that is called Memento Mori, which is just great, and it's a great tribute to their fallen bandmate that died. Uh, to me, Ghost Again is one of the best Depeche Mode tracks ever. I would put it up there with Enjoy the Silence and other classics from there, like Walking in My Shoes. Uh, and others because it's just so good. And what I really love about this album is the emotion in the singing. The lead singer still sounds as great as he did in the 80s. And that's something that it's not easy to do. And how he does it, it's just flawless how he's done it on this album. So yeah, Memento Mori, besides Ghost Again, I would say that Wagging Tongue is great. My Cosmos is Mine is another standout track. And just such great tracks. I think there's no weak tracks on this album. Even the weaker one for me, Caroline's Monkey, is still good. So yeah, I think Depeche Mode with this album just did an amazing job, and I'm just blown away by what they did. So the other band that I'm going to talk about is more of a alternative uh, rock band thing of the 90s, and it's called Narrowhead. And they're from Texas, and their last album, I gotta tell you, I reviewed it with Señorita Sabrosura. It's called Moments of Clarity, and I think it's their best album yet. I really love how this band does the alternative with some shoegaze elements to them and some grunge. If I had to mention like great songs here, like Sunday is great, Trepanation, I love Breakup Song, and the Calm Down. It's a longer track, but it really feels good. And sometimes this is a band that reminds me of like Helmet meets Quicksand and some Smashing Pumpkins to them as well. So it's just an amazing album as well. So I mentioned 4 albums. So I got 6 albums to go. The next one is not an album. It's an EP. And I've been obsessing with this band since the beginning of the year. They're called Soft Cult. And they put out a great EP this year. And the EP is called See You in the Dark. And it's just 6 songs, 20 minutes. If they would have put like a few more songs, this would have been an album. And my favorite song here is I got 3 favorite tracks. It's Dress, One of a Million, and Spoiled. It's just such a great track. I love the melody in both sisters' voices. It's just beautiful. And they tackle some strong subject matter on the song Dress, which is a song about consent, because the female is wearing a dress and someone tried to grope her and rape her. So it's a very strong song, and they have some shoegaze to them as well. So it's very dreamlike the way their music sounds. And I'm telling you, like if you haven't listened to this band, you need to listen to it. They have a song with Teenage Risk, which I'm also obsessed with, and they're gonna put out an album pretty soon. So hopefully that will be on my list as well. So I'm gonna talk about now one of the latest albums that came out, and it's not Queen of the Damned. It's Queens of the Stone Age, and they put out an amazing fucking record in Times New Roman. I think this is their best album in 10 years. And what Queens of the Stone Age did here is they mixed what they did on their first albums with more of a mellower sound from like Clockwork from 2014, and it really works. I love the song Paper Machete, Negative Space is great, Carnival Year. What the People Say is such fun track. And of course, Emotion Sickness. What a great fucking first single. Josh Homme really channels the pain of divorce and custody battle, but also brings it well with some music that challenges you. And that's why this album is one of my favorites that I've listened to so far in the year. So moving along, there's such great music that's come out this year, and bands that have really impressed me. But I gotta say that the next band that I'm gonna talk about, I actually bought this one, and I have it on vinyl. It's Foo Fighters with their last album, but here we are. So it's all white, so you can't tell. It doesn't look much. But what Foo Fighters did here with this album is they channeled the pain of the death of Taylor Hawkins and, of course, Dave Grohl's mother. And this is an album that if you've gone through grief, you can understand it's a great comeback album, and especially after Foo Fighters had that last album, Medicine at Midnight, that for me was. So this one, I think, when you think of favorite tracks, Underuse a great track. It's a great single. Rescue You, another single, great. But The Teacher is where they went full like progressive rock, and it's a 10-minute song. Foo Fighters. Who knew that Foo Fighters could do a 10-minute song? And on that song, they do so much, so well. And the album really has so many great things to it that I really love it. So that's why it's one of my favorites. So uh, I think I have one more album to talk about, and we'll have like the 10. I gotta do the math, but the album that I'm gonna talk about now really is a great album and a band that, there's been a lot of hype. Uh, it's Sleep Token. Yes, I've been a fan of Sleep Token since their first albums, and I think they're a band that, a lot of people can say, they're not metal, they're mixing too much genres, but uh, to me, Take Me Back to Eden is one of the best albums of the year so far. This is just, I love it how this band can take elements of pop music, djent, electronics, and mix it in a way that sounds so flawless. And the singer's voice, obviously, he's called the Vessel. Uh, he has so much emotion in his voice that it's really so great. And I think here, Chokehold starts the album on such a high note. It's just an amazing album opener that I believe everyone needs to listen to because it's it's just so good. And then you have songs like Aqua Regia, The Summoning, which is one of the best ones. Do You Wish That You Love Me is a pure pop song, but it's just so good. And even though they use auto tune, they use it to their advantage. And I like the last songs, Take Me Back to Eden and Euclid. There's just a lot of emotion in this album. And I did an ASMR style review for this one. And it's just, so good, such a great track that you can't sleep on this track. So I think I want to talk about two more albums that came out. And one is a band from Australia that they're called Ne Obliviscaris. And my God, this is a band that just keeps improving. They use violin in their songs. They're a band from Australia, and I'm telling you, Australia has some great band. It's called Exul. It's 6 songs, 52 minutes, and this is an album that you have to listen from start to finish. I wouldn't say like I have a favorite track. I think the whole fucking album is a favorite track. It's just so emotional, and they can do harsher vocals with the clean vocals, and the violin is used in this album, but I think it's not used as much as they did on other albums. I think they use it sparingly, and that way it doesn't get too jarring. But yeah, this is an amazing album that I really think that if you like progressive metal with black metal and some extreme metal, uh, I think Exul by Neobli Viscaris should be there in your rotation. And finally, I'm going to talk about one more band. And this is a band that's put the gent on the map. And I'm talking about Periphery. And yes, Periphery, they're a band that they do the gent, but they do progressive and they mix modern sounds. And this is Periphery 5. The gent is not a genre. Is it? I think it is. And this is an album that really, I like the last one, Hail Stand, but I think this one is better. I think Wildfire, Wax Wings is great. And then you have a song like Silhouette, which is just like plain synths and keyboard. And I didn't like it at first, but now I love it. It's like a part of the album. It's like a breather. And the album closes with two very strong tracks with Dracula Grass and Thanks Nobu. So there you have it. Those are the albums that I've been liking the most through this year. But they can change because There's still more great albums coming. And at the end of the year, I'll probably do like a top 25. So, and I'll divide it like I did last year. So I want to know from you guys, what are your favorite albums of the year so far? What do you think of the albums that I picked for this list and the EP? And if you like the videos that I'm putting out, do not forget to give me a like and do not forget to subscribe. That helps me with the YouTube algorithm and helps me to get to more people like yourself. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.